Converting minutes and seconds. We know that we measure angles in degrees, but did you know that we could split those degrees up to even smaller units? If we took 1 degree and split it up into 60 equal parts, we would call those parts minutes. So there are 60 minutes in 1 degree. If we took each minute and split it up into 60 parts, we would call them seconds. So there are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in a degree. If you think about time and hours, minutes, and seconds, it's easy to remember. But now we're going to do some conversion, because when we talk about minutes and seconds with degrees, they're only part of a degree. It's a fractional or decimal part, and we need to know how to convert back and forth. One way to do that is by using a chart. This chart here has minutes into decimals of a degree and seconds into decimals of a degree. Let's look at this problem, 35 minutes. Here's our symbol for minutes, 1 line, and 18 seconds, that's our symbol for seconds, 2 lines, like a quotation mark. We want to change this into a decimal degree. What part of 1 degree is 35 minutes, 18 seconds? The first thing I'm going to do is use the minutes. And I'm going to look at the minutes part of my chart and look for 35 minutes. So I go down my chart, it ends at 20, I'm going to come back over here, and I get to 35, and I find out that that's 0.5833. So I'm going to write that down, 0.5833, and that's the minute part. Now I'm going to go to seconds. So I go to the seconds part of this chart. I have 18 seconds, so I'm going down until I find 18, and I find out that it's 0.0050. So I'm going to write that, 0.0050. That's the seconds part. If I add these two together, 0.5833 plus 0.0050, I would get 0.5883, and that's degrees. So we find that 35 minutes, 18 seconds is 0.5883 degrees, or a little over half of 1 degree. Now let's say we started with 0.2975 degrees, and we want to change that back into minutes and seconds. Our first task is to look at the left part of the chart. Since this is in degrees, we're going to look where it says degrees, and we have to find the closest number to this without going over. So I'm going down, looking at my degrees, and I see 0.2833 because the next one, 0.3000, is too big. So since I have 0.2833, that would be 17 minutes. So I'm going to write down 17 minutes, but I also have to remember that it was 0.2833. And I'm going to subtract that from the 0.2975 to see what's left. So when I subtract, I get 0.0142. I now go look at the seconds, and I look for 0.0142, the closest without going over. And I'm still looking, and I'm still looking, and I keep going, and we found it exact. So that means we have 51 seconds. So 0.2975 degrees is 17 minutes, 51 seconds. This chart is just one way that we can convert minutes and seconds into degrees and degrees into minutes and seconds. Another way to convert minutes and seconds into degrees and vice versa is to use the calculator. Let's look at our calculator here for a minute. Right here you see a button that has a DD and above it a DMS. DMS stands for degree, minute, second. DD stands for decimal degree. If you're trying to convert from decimal degree to degree, minute, second, you're going to use these buttons. If you're trying to go reverse, you're still going to use these buttons. Let me point out that some calculators have a button that actually have the degree, minute, and second symbols on it. You should check your calculator to find out what kind you're using. Let's look at an example here. We have 5 degrees, 8 minutes, 43 seconds. In order to enter this number in a calculator that does not have a degree, minute, and second button, we need to put it into the calculator as a decimal. To do that, I'm going to put in 5 degrees. It's 8 minutes, but minutes could have 2 digits, so I need a placeholder 0. 8 minutes, 43 seconds. And I want to change that into decimal degrees. I'm going to decimal degrees. It's already in degrees, minutes, seconds. So since I'm going to decimal degrees, that's the button I'm going to have to hit. Let's go to our calculator. I put in 5.0843 and I hit decimal degrees. I get for my answer 5.1453. I'm going to round that off degrees. So 5 degrees, 8 minutes, 43 seconds is the same as 5.1453 degrees. If we wanted to check our work on this calculator, we could just hit second and hit that DD again and make sure it takes us back to where we started. 5 degrees, 8 minutes, 43 seconds. You can continue to go back and forth just by hitting the decimal degree button again. So there's always a way to check your work by using the decimal degree or the degree, minute, second part of that button. Let's look at our second example where we start with a decimal degree. I know we're starting with a decimal degree for 2 reasons. 1, there's a decimal point. And 2, there's no minute or second symbol. So we're starting with a decimal degree and we're going to degree, minute, second. So that's the button we'll be pushing on the calculator. We're going to enter in our 25.2577. Remember, to hit degree, minute, seconds up here, we have to hit the second and then that button. So I hit second, degree, minute, seconds, and I get 25 degrees, 15 minutes, you'll see 27 seconds, and on the calculator you'll see an extra 7. This is a fractional part of a second. It's just part of the second. So we're going to round this up to 25 degrees, 15 minutes, 28 seconds. Again, if you want to check your work, you can hit the decimal degree button and it takes you back to what you started from to make sure you entered the correct number.